this is Erin from Sandpaper Road in the USA, and today I'm sharing with you a chocolate box that I made with the Frosty Sparking Paper Collection by craft.o.clock. And this is a project I made for their YouTube creative team. Look at this. It ties with a ribbon and full of fun chocolates. But there's a surprise inside. There's room for a little folio where you can write on the inside or put photos. This is really easy to make, and it starts with the large paper collection, 30 and 5 centimeters by 30 and 5 centimeters, or 12 by 12 inches if you go by inches. We're also going to use the Junk Journal Extras set. That's where you're going to get these great quotes and that neat fun pocket from the inside. We're going to be using flowers. This is flowers 22. Some of the extras to cut from extras to cut 2, and also from extras to cut 1. I don't remember which pieces I used from which sheet, but I always start by cutting all of the extras out with scissors first. You fussy cut them out, and then I store them in little bags. This is the pocket we're going to use. And several of the quotes, and I just cut them apart, but I leave them in strips. I find that to be convenient, and I save them all off to the side. Now I'm using an old empty chocolate box. So I'm not creating the chocolate box from scratch, but I am going to cover it with some of the covers. And I'm using 2 of the number 6 covers by craft.o.clock. When you're choosing your cover, whatever cover you think you should use, choose one size larger. I used in the video that you're seeing, I have the box sitting over top of the medium cover. And what actually happened was, off camera, I had to take it apart and use the large cover. So you can see right here that this medium cover, it looks like it will fit, but it's actually just a little bit too small. So whatever cover you think you might want to use, choose one size larger. And I'll be using one cover for the top of the box and the other cover for the bottom of the box. Right now I'm covering all sides of the box with some double-sided tape. And don't worry, I don't video all of the taping and covering. So off camera, I did a lot of this. But even as you can see, this was my first attempt. And see how the corners just didn't quite cover? Like I said, I had to take this apart and use a large cover. you'll see in this next part after I cover them both, recover them both actually. Here's what they looked like once I recovered them. See how much better that covers? So now I'm going to go through and choose a piece of paper. This is such a beautiful collection. I love it. I love it so much. I really like that one a lot. I zoomed out just a little bit too far there instead of zooming in. We're going to cut at the following measurements. Now again, these measurements are specific measurements to fit my box. So you'll have to measure the box you have. I'm trying to make it so that the design of the paper stays within the measurements because I love this design. I'm working to cover the inside of the box first. You can use any size box you have, and it doesn't even have to be an empty box from chocolate. It could be an empty box from something else you have. Because once you cover the box, it will be perfect for the holidays. That looks wonderful. I'm going to use some double-sided tape. This is the 1/2-inch Scor-Tape, but I think I'm also going to use some liquid adhesive, the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive as well. Remember that the cover sheets, the cover papers, they're very smooth, and so sometimes your adhesive doesn't stick as well as it could on regular paper. So that's why I'm adding a little bit of wet glue as well. You could even use a shoe box if you didn't have a chocolate box. I'm using a little plastic tool just to burnish down the paper and smooth it down. That looks so good. Now here's the pocket, and I'm going to put the pocket on the top part of the box. But first I want to score that little area right there. You'll be able to see it after you cut. It's such a tiny, tiny, small fold. And I'm going to use a little bit of liquid glue. And just smooth it down. I recommend laying a heavy object on top of the pocket while the glue is still wet. There's our pocket. Next, we're going to find a new piece from the collection and we're going to cut it at the following measurements. This is to create our surprise folio for the pocket. Make sure you think about how you want the design to go before you cut. We're going to be cutting this paper and then folding it in an accordion style fold. So if you want a certain part of the design to show, you have to think about that ahead of time. I did this on practice paper first to make sure that it would fit inside the pocket. Now that piece we'll save for later. This is the piece we'll use now. We're going to score at the following measurements. There's 3 score lines. There's actually only 2 score lines because the one ends up to be the end of the paper. That's the 3rd one. So that one is just the end of the paper anyway. And that's how we create our fold. It's really easy. This will be the folio that goes inside the pocket. It looks great. I love it. You can put a photo in there, several photos. You can write in there. You can put little decorations. Next, I spend some time sorting through all of the extras that I cut. I have these little trays at home, and I just sort them in little trays. You could use the lids of boxes or something else flat. And now it's time to decorate the front of the box. Now this was that old piece, the rest of that piece that we had from before. So I'm going to cut it at the following measurements. We really only need to make one cut because it was already the correct length. But remember, these are measurements that match my box. You will have to find measurements that match your box. Now I'm using a little sandpaper just to rough up the front of the box just a little bit. That will help that paper stick better to the cover. I'm also using a combination of double-sided tape and wet glue. This looks really good so far. I like that I chose more of a plain design for the front because now I can decorate it with all kinds of extras and fun embellishments. This is the piece from the junk journal set. And it's really perfect, but I really only wanted that one piece. So I think I'm going to use a die that I have. You don't have to use a die. You could just use your paper trimmer. But I think I'll use a die to cut out that front there. There, that looks nice. Now with this part, I must be trying to decide what size of photos can fit. So let me show you. Inside the folio, you can fit one of these smaller photos on each piece. That fits really well. And you could put as many as you'd like in there. Or even a smaller one. We call those wallet photos. Just smaller size photos. The larger photo is not going to fit as well as you would like. You'll have to crop it down. So, and the 4x6 it will not fit. If you're in the USA, that's a typical size for us. So those larger photos are not going to be a good fit unless you crop them down. But like I said, you could also do some journaling in there or write a nice message. Or if you're giving this as a gift, you could put a birthday message inside. Now here you can use some punches if you like to work on to get some of your embellishments out. You've got lots of extras with that paper. I actually didn't end up using these circles in this project, but just wanted to leave that part in the video to give you a few ideas. Now here it's just a matter of deciding how you'd like to embellish it with the extras and the flowers. Keep in mind that inside the box you're going to have chocolates or something else, some other treat, so you don't want to overwhelm the inside of the box. And you can use the liquid glue for the inside. Try to keep the dimension to a minimum when you're working inside the box. But we can put lots of dimension on the outside. This looks really good so far. I'm really happy about it. Now we can get creative on the outside of the box. Right now I'm just trying a few things. All of these are from the Flowers 22. It did take a little while to cut out, but I like to do fussy cutting while I'm watching television or just sitting and talking. It's fun and I find it relaxing. So you'll notice that when you use a liquid glue, you're going to have dimension or you're going to have decorations that lay flat. But if you choose, you can also use a hot glue gun. And the hot glue gun will add a little bit of dimension to your embellishments. I also want to show you a little trick that you can use when you're creating your flower embellishments. I hope you are crafting along with me, and if you are, then this part of the project is just making some decisions and deciding where you would like your flowers and your extra embellishments. Try to create a little bit of balance and help the eye flow from the top of the project down to the bottom of the project. Now here I'm just pressing a little bit on the flower just to give it a little bit of the dimension. I'll show you another way I like to do that in just a minute. Now I have a piece of thick foam, and you can use the back of a marker or a stylus or the top of a pen. And what this does is it creates some dimension with in your flowers, and you can just press on the paper flower when you lay it on the foam. Then I'm using hot glue and putting it right on top. It's so quick, it takes no time at all. And as you can see, it really helps to make those flowers pop. I'll show you again. You just push. You saw how quick it was, and even though the video is a little bit in fast motion, you can see I'm not spending very much time at all. There, and see what a difference that makes? I like to put a flower like that on top of a flower that is flat. Anytime you're going to use hot glue, you're going to get a little bit more dimension. And it dries really fast, so you can put a little bit of hot glue and then kind of shove your piece into the arrangement. I like to use that technique a lot. Here's some of the berries and the pine cones from the flower set. And I'm not trying to overdo it. I'm just making sure all my pieces are secure. Look at that. That is gorgeous. So nice and easy. It's so easy to do. So just continue along. You could even use the back of your marker or a pen. It does the same thing. It's really the foam piece that you need. But you know, if you don't have a foam piece, you could use it on a pillow, or like maybe a soft seat you sit in that has a little bit of firmness to it. But I'm just creating just a little bit of balance for the eye to travel down the front of the lid of the box. And like I said, I don't want to overdo it. Now this is some glitter that I had in my stash. I was thinking I was going to dump the glitter on that piece of paper, and I think I'm going to use my liquid glue and just create little centers for the flowers, and then use some glitter over top. If you're using a wet glue, don't shake the glitter off right away. Let it sit there and dry for a little bit. This project looks really good so far. All we need are a few little quotes and sentiments to finish it off. The quotes come in the Junk Journals Extras set, and they include English on one side and Polish in the other. And I like to cut them but leave them into longer strips, because then I don't have to wrestle with lots of little tiny pieces. I can just cut the ones I need. And I'll just use a little liquid glue to adhere those. I think maybe a few at the bottom and a few at the top will be good enough. I'm also trying to vary the color choice of the sentiments or quotes. And I like to work in odd numbers, so I'm using 5 quotes. It just gives it a little bit more of a polished look. And we're almost done. The fun part is coming up. I thought about adding a sentiment or quote to the folio fold out. And just chose one. But these papers are so beautiful and decorated so well already, they don't need much. Plus, you can use the rest of the quotes and sentiments for cards, scrapbook layouts, lots of other projects as well. There's plenty to choose from. I ended up including one more quote for the folio for the inside. Surprise. And now the fun part, where we add the chocolate. You can add whatever you want. And finish it off with a ribbon. Just the simple tie of a ribbon is fine. You don't need to do anything special. It looks great. So pretty, fun, and easy to make. So thanks so much for joining us today. You can check out the description box to find where you can pick up these products. Thanks to craft.o.clock for providing the products today. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.